This week, I talk with Nuno Silva Ramos from Silva Ramos Attorneys. We discuss, amongst other things, the buying process in Portugal. Welcome everybody to another episode of Portugal, The Simple Life. I'm here with Nuno Ramos. Nuno, thanks so much for joining us.
You're welcome. How are you doing?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Nuno, you're sitting in your office in Alfeizerão. Alfeizerão, as previously spoken about on another episode, is famous for a cake called pão de ló.
Exactly.
Do you like it?
We have a lot of that.
Do you like it?
Yeah, I like it a lot.
Okay, so let's imagine we're not doing this meeting by Zoom, but we're in a cafe in Alfeizerão waiting for the famous pão de ló de Alfeizerão. We're strangers. We don't have a lot of time. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, my name is Nuno Ramos. I'm a lawyer. I come from Maceira, which is a small village close to Nazaré, like 20 kilometers away from Nazaré. And I've been living and working in Leiria since I was born. So that's what I do.
Lovely. Nazaré, we know, is famous at the moment because of the big waves.
Yeah,
thanks to Mr. McNamara.
McNamara, yeah.
But
the Grand Canyon waves.
Exactly, the Northern Canyon. But you're from your village. Maceira is famous for something else. Every Portuguese village is famous for something. What's Maceira famous for?
Maceira has a big factory of cement. So
Okay.
all the construction all over the country know Maceira because of that.
Okay, so when you're speaking to your clients who are having a house built, you can say, the cement is from my village.
Yeah, there's always a part of Maceira, of my village, in all the construction in the area. So,
Okay. Tell us a little bit about your work as a lawyer. What area do you specialize in?
well, I started working as a general lawyer. So I did my training and started working on a big office in Leiria, which is the district town.
Okay.
One of the biggest legal offices in Leiria. And then I started working for myself. So I established myself in Alfeizerão, and I specialized on real estate investment.
Okay, why Alfeizerão? Why did you set up your office there?
Well, first, this is a nice village. It's very quiet. It's pretty close to the highway. So we are 2 minutes away from the highway entrance. So there's a good location. The weather is good. The people are friendly. So that's why we are here.
Okay. And tell me a little bit about your clients. Where are they from in the world?
Everywhere in the world, to be honest.
Okay.
We have clients from Europe, Spain, Belgium, Germany, Holland, and we also have clients outside of Europe. We have clients in the Middle East, we have clients from China, we have clients from South Africa, from Brazil, from United States, from Canada, so all over the world, actually.
It's amazing. It's amazing that Portugal has become so global. I know, always has been that way in a sense, but even a place like the Silver Coast, where people from everywhere are coming here, it's a fantastic mixture of people.
Yeah, exactly. We are a welcoming country, so when people visit Portugal, they immediately feel attracted to stay for a longer period, to come for another vacation, or eventually to live in Portugal, actually.
Okay, Nuno, one of the things that I've noticed being here, and it's something that I'd like to discuss with you in some detail. When I bought my first house, it took about 3 to 4 months for everything to get done and be registered officially. Then when I came here, and buying property here takes a lot quicker. As you know, Portugal, this podcast is called Portugal, The Simple Life. Why is the buying process so simple? What makes it so simple here?
Well, first of all, in the last years, all the registration system changed a bit, and adjusted to technology. So most of property registration now is possible to check online. So we have a very, very good electronic registration system, and it's available immediately. So you just have to access the proper website with an access code, and immediately you get all the information from a property. So that makes the whole process much, much quicker, and especially the due diligence. We don't need to go in person to local services. That makes things a lot more simple than it was maybe 10 or 12 years ago when I started working.
Okay, so when you say local services, it means that you don't have to go directly to the various municipal offices and engineers or architects and things like that. Is that
exactly
what you mean?
Exactly. We don't have to go in person to tax departments, municipalities, and land registration services, for instance. We can access all this information online.
Okay, and the speed of which we'll get onto the actual buying process and the different steps, but the speed at which a deed or a transfer of title deed goes through is relatively quickly compared to a lot of other places.
Yeah, if we compare our system to other countries, even comparing with other European countries, our system is quite safe and quite quick when comparing.
So, I mean, how long can it take to do a transfer of a title deed?
It can take 1 day, a minimum 1 day. We can prepare everything, and just takes a few hours to go to a public notary and sign for the transfer, for the acquisition.
That's fast. That's very
fast. Very fast.
Okay. So other things in Portugal move slow, but this moves fast.
Exactly. Life goes a bit slower. Lifestyle is a bit slower than this.
We take an hour and a half for lunch, but it takes quicker to purchase a property.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about the buying process. Tell me about the buying process from beginning to end. How does it work and the steps involved?
Well, we normally have 3 different steps since the client decides to buy a property. First of all, the client signs a reservation form and pays a reservation fee to the real estate broker. That serves to take the property out of the market. And so we can start the whole process to the second step, which is the promissory contract. The CPCV normally takes place maximum within 2 weeks. And by then I will already do the due diligence and check all the seller and the property documentation and registration. And on a later stage, the final step is the title deed. That takes place at the public notary office.
Okay. Let's just break those steps down in a little bit more detail for the people listening. The reservation, as you mentioned, it's a fee that's paid to the broker, sometimes to the seller, correct?
Yes.
And that's essentially to reserve the property and make sure that no one purchases.
The purpose is to take the property out of the market for a short period so we can sign promissory contract.
Okay, perfect. Next step is promissory contract.
Yeah, promissory contract will include all the payment terms and all the time frame applicable to that deal. So it establish when the title deed will take place, establish how much the deposit is, if there's an extra payment after deposit and before the construction to be completed or not. That's the second stage. By then we have 100% correct information about the seller and the property. So we checked the due diligence and we finished the due diligence and it's according to the Portuguese law, so we can step forward.
Okay, before we get on to the title deed, the promissory contract is a legal document, a legally binding contract.
Yeah. The promissory contract can even be registered at the land registry service, and this makes sure that the seller will not be able to sell that is exactly the same property to anybody else. So it has a full effect, as we call it in Portuguese law.
Okay, and but it's two ways. It ties in the buyer as well.
Yeah. There are consequences after promissory contract signature. If one of the parts, for instance, default, there are Portuguese law consequences that are also included on the promissory contract terms.
Okay, no, that's quite reassuring. So by law, the seller is protected, but also the buyer.
Yeah, according to Portuguese Civil Code, Article 410, the promissory contract is a legal document, so it's applicable according to Portuguese law, and protects both parts and has obligations also for both parts.
The next step after promissory contract, what happens?
The final step in legal terms is the title deed, which means the acquisition title that we always sign at the Portuguese notary, and it takes place between the public notary, buyer, and the seller, all in the same room to transfer the ownership of the property.
First of all, why does it happen at a public notary? What is the benefit there?
The benefit is that the public notary is also responsible to check the seller and property registrations on the date and on the time that the title deed is signed. So all the registrations that I spoke before that are available online, the notary will check it at the date, at the time of title deed. That makes sure that makes all the process much easier,
It's okay. Take a breath. Try that. Let's try that again.
We always sign title deed at the public notary because that makes sure that the notary also checks the seller and the property documentation. It's not only the lawyer or the client representative to check it, but also a public entity certifying that everything is according to the law and that transfer can happen as expected. So it's a question of safety, also on the client's perspective.
Okay, we've gone through two of the steps. Let's say I'm the buyer, I've paid my reservation, I have gone and signed the promissory contract, I've paid my deposits, and now it's time for transfer of title deed at the notary. What happens if there is something that's not correct in terms of the documentation, in terms of licensing, or anything that doesn't work? What happens at the notary office if there's some kind of problem like that?
Well, normally if there is a problem and we only noticed at the title deed moment at the notary office, the public notary will not allow the deeds to take place. So we will not have the transfer of the ownership and we have not exchanged funds with the seller. So no payment takes place because there's no title deed in case of a problem. Okay.
So we've been speaking about this really simple process. I can see from what happens at the notary with the amount of, with the electronic system, with the amount of detail that goes into checking everything, that I'm protected as a buyer. Why do I need a lawyer?
Well, first of all, you are investing on a foreign country. So language and the whole process can be a problem because you might not to fully understand the process, and you might not fully understand the language. And part of our job is also to prevent problems on the client's side. So we try to protect the clients and we try to make it as simple as possible on a client's perspective.
Okay.
And we make sure...
How do you do that?
We do all the due diligence. So we check all property seller documentation. We check it once we sign promissory contract, and we double check before title deed appointment to take place. So normally we don't have any surprises. I never had surprises at the public notary room because we check and double check all the documentation previously.
How long does it generally take from beginning? So we talk about the reservation through to the transfer and registration of title deed. How long can that take in general?
Well, according to our experience, because we need some time for transfer of funds, to book the appointment, to check the registration details, everything, but it can take place within 30 days. That is possible, and that's what we've done already a few times for some of our clients.
Okay, that's fast. When do I appoint a lawyer? At what stage, as a buyer, do I actually appoint the lawyer?
We recommend to appoint the lawyer as soon as possible, because the lawyer can start immediately working on your behalf on the due diligence. So previously to promissory contract, it's almost compulsory to have appointed a lawyer.
Nuno, as the buyer, I found the property that I want. Do I need to be here do I need to be physically here in the country for any of those steps?
Not for any of these legal steps that I mentioned. Of course, we always recommend you to come, to enjoy our food, to drink some wine, and to feel in love with a property that you like. But after that, the lawyer can represent you in all the different steps.
Okay, how does that happen? How do I let you or allow you as the lawyer to represent me?
We prepare a power of attorney document that needs to be signed on a public notary at the best convenience. This means that you can sign it while you're here in Portugal with me at the Portuguese public notary, or that you can do it, sign it on your home country at the public notary of your best convenience.
Okay. So giving you a power of attorney and letting you act on behalf, that would also include you checking all the documentation of the property, the due diligence of the property. I know you're making it sound a lot simpler than what it actually is. You go through you check a lot of the information, don't you?
Yeah, we have to check different registrations at different departments and also at the municipality. So we have a lot of paperwork to check, but we do not put that on client shoulders. We do it ourselves as part of a representation, legal representation. So we make it as simple as possible for the buyer. We act on the buyer's behalf, and we check all that information for the clients.
Okay, obviously all the documentation is in Portuguese, the promissory contract, the title deed, all of that is in Portuguese. As a buyer, you're going to give me the English translations, so that at least I know what everything means. Is that something you do for the clients as well?
Yeah, all the Portuguese documents are, as legal documents, they are only available in Portuguese, and that might be difficult for the clients to read and to understand. So we always prepare an English version, an English translation to address clients, for them to understand properly what they are signing for.
Okay, perfect. You have a situation in Spain. We've heard of stories in places like Spain where people have bought properties where the seller didn't actually have the authority to sell the property, or the seller wasn't the actual owner of the property. Can that happen here in Portugal?
Well, over more than 10 years experience working on my own legal office, I never had that experience. We are much safer when comparing with Spain, for instance, in regards to property investment, especially because of our electronic registration system over the last year. So it's possible, it's immediate to understand if it's all according to what is expected or not.
So, I mean, what would you be able to find according to that electronic system? Is there a history of ownership? Is there, in terms of licensing, all of those things? That's all very, very clear and transparent.
Yeah, as soon as I access, for instance, a property certificate at the land registry certificate, I can check when the property was bought, or who was the previous owner, who is the current owner, if there's a license issued by the municipality to that property. So I can check all the different details that are possible, that are possibly applicable to that exactly plot or property.
You have clients, like you mentioned, from all over the world. You mentioned that we have great food here and people can come and have our wine. Give me an example of an interesting part of the world that one of your clients are from, or where they live.
I have a recent client that I just recently signed a title deed that is living in Bahrain.
Bahrain,
Kingdom,
wow.
Kingdom of Bahrain.
Okay. Okay, so let's use this client as an example. They've got a day here in your village or in this area. They can only have time for one meal. What are you going to recommend that they eat?
I recommend black pork.
Okay,
it's
tell us
something
more about that.
It's something that I really love. It's not the normal pig, so it's a special breed, and the meat is very, very tasty, completely different. You must have black pork.
Okay, and what should they drink with the black pork?
Normally red wine. With meat, we normally drink red wine.
From the Alentejo?
Yeah, of course. Alentejo has huge wine farms, and there are many farms down there, so it's very, very good.
Okay. Nuno, how can people be in touch with you? How can people contact you and follow you online?
We have a Facebook page, okay. And we also I'm registered at the Portuguese Bar Association, and there's a link direct to my profile on the Bar Association website that I can give you with all my details.
What's the name of that Facebook page?
Silva Ramos Attorneys. It's a Facebook page, and Nuno Silva Ramos at the Portuguese Bar Association. Okay,
we'll put some links in the show notes of the podcast for people to get in touch with you. Nuno, we're coming up to the end. Just for the listeners, 3 things that you want people to remember and to take away from this conversation.
Well, one, and probably the first one, is that we are here to help clients, to assist them, and try to make this investment experience as simple as possible, and work on their behalf, achieving their goals. The second, I would probably refer to the area. I'm suspicious because I love the area. I've been spending holidays since I was maybe 5 or 6 year old child. I'm spending holidays in this area, and I love it. And I have an emotional link to this area. And the third, you must come, spend some time in Portugal, enjoy the Portuguese lifestyle, eat our food, drink our wines, red wine and white wine, also vinho verde that is lovely, super fresh, and try Portugal.
Nuno, a question that we like to ask all of our guests: Portugal, the simple life, why?
Well, we are a very, very safe country, so we are not involved in wars, not even on the Second World War. We are not part of that, so we are a very peaceful country. We are safe, we have a lot of sun, we have great sea, and of course we have wonderful meals to enjoy.
Okay, Nuno, thank you so much. And for now, I'm going to let you call it.
That's a wrap.
So thank you once again to Nuno, and thank you to all of you for listening. Please subscribe, share with your friends, give us a thumbs up, and please leave your comments and reviews. We'd love to hear from you. Welcome to the Simple Life.